Good evening. Hello again, guys. Sorry I'm sitting down. I'm actually getting old and tired. And we're about to wrap this project up though, so I'm gonna get healthy again really soon. So last episode we started the groundwork for adding followers. So adding followers, removing followers. We're also gonna be doing asking for a friend list in this episode. So this is going to involve a couple of things because we don't have friend lists just yet. We don't have any kind of collection that will hold this information. So we have to go ahead and start by doing that. So we're going to go get Ourself a new collection of friendships. It's going to be great. We're going to go ahead and open up the server.cs. We'll start with the server. Why is it that we start with the server? Simply because we need a new model. And that model is going to be our friendship. So model friendship, just like that. Let's open this one up. And just like the other model, we are going to get rid of model behavior. And in this case, what is our model friendship going to contain? Well, just like the model account, it contains an object ID. That's something we can't avoid. This is something that every Mongo object is going to have, and in fact you have to include MongoDB bson to have it. Oh, and I got that wrong. I forgot that we changed friendship for followers. So model followees. I am not sure how to call this. We'll just call it model follow. So if you get a follow, that's gonna be somebody following you, right? We also have to change the name inside of the engine. We'll do that in a moment. Okay, now if you are following someone, you need to have a reference to that person who follows and also the person who you are following. So you'll need both person basically. One of them is going to be called the sender, and the person that gets followed is going to be called the leader. I really have no good name for those. You know what? I'll just call it sender, and the other one's going to be a target. So public sender and public target, right? They need a type. I didn't include the type in here. What is the type? Well, we could think that it could be model account. However, that's not going to be the case because we're not actually storing the sender in here. We're not recreating the sender. We're not, say, when we add a new document in our collection, when we add a new follow, we're not copying over the sender, but we are going to copy a reference to him so we can access him using that, and he's going to be up to date. So this one is called MongoDB ref, I believe it's called like this, yep, and it's part of MongoDB driver, and with this we'll now be able to access the sender in his table, so in his collection actually. Now here you could put additional stuff such as since, so public datetime since, you know when the friendship started, the followship started, and yeah, let's go and change the name of this directly on the object itself, on the on the .cs script. Here it is. Okay, we're off a good start. Let's go under mongo.cs. We're going to declare our collection just like we've done for the accounts. So at the top here, private Mongo collection model follow, and we'll just call that follows. We also have to go inside the initialize and add it right here. So follow is equal to db get collection model type of follow, and the name of the table is simply going to be follow, which remind us we have to go in there in mlab and actually create it. So let's log in mlab and find our database. Here's mine. We are going to create a new collection, call that follow, and just like that, we did everything we had to do for this. That's Mongo for you guys. Okay, quit. Okay, so we got our new collection. Now it is time to create 3 new messages. We're gonna go with follow, remove follow, and also ask for friendship, or how could that request follows, so we know who we follow basically. Let's go ahead and I get confused. I mean, I've done that 3 times, but I still get confused. Let's go in our net message folder and let's do add follow. We're going to create a new one for remove follow. I guess you could have only one class and have like a boolean that decides whether or not it's add or remove Up to you if you want to optimize on that. And then finally, request follow. Now we're going to open them all, including net message. We have to create our new opcode. So I'll actually open all of them at once. And here they are. So we're going to start with net message. Let's go and create our new message. So add follow is equal to 5. Const int remove follow 6. Request follow 7. Cool. We got them all. I'm going to open any other message, say login request, and then copy that over. So this is add follow. Add follow. I just have to basically just change all of that, and I'm going to wipe all the data. Add follow. Take this, copy it over. This is remove follow. And finally, this is request follow. Wait, what? Yeah, this is request follow. Alright, there we go. We'll get our 3 messages. Now we just need to put content in it, and we're gonna be ready to go. So, for the add and the remove, and actually the request, for all of them, there's gonna be something in common. That one thing in common is who's asking, basically. Who are we looking at? Which account are we looking at? And how do we know which account we're looking at? Well, we don't have to use username nor password, because then anybody can fake your message. The only thing that's unique that only the user will know is his password and also his token. So if you send in the password, you have to send in an email or username at the same time. So that's really not cool. I mean, you're sending too much information. With the token, however, you can make sure that's the person, and you can also make sure that you're acting on his behalf and actually you know who it is. Which reminds me, we should make our token a little bit more secure. So we should go back and actually make sure our token is more than 4 characters for additional security. So yeah, personally, I'm in the login request right now. I'll just put that on 256 characters. So we end up having a big token, and we save that. Plus, it's gonna make it so the chances 2 person have the same token once they're logged in is very, very slim. It's almost impossible. So one cannot act on the behalf of the other, which is something quite cool. Now, if you're worried about that happening, I don't think it ever will. But if you're worried that it will happen, what you can do is go under assert.cs and when you generate that token, you can look into the database and actually look if that token is already assigned right now. So you'd be checking here. So if, well, just like the same thing we've done for the Discriminator. If it's always 0, you can roll and like generate multiple token and find one that isn't being used. But even with 4 characters, the chances were extremely slim. Imagine now with 256, like it's basically impossible. Okay. Having that done, let's go back and actually start adding our token to all of these. So public string token. I'll be adding it to all of those messages because they all need to know who is sending this message. Alright, now going back on the add follow, we need to have a target. So our target is going to be username Discriminator. That's how we'll find him. Or with the email. Email could also work. So I'm putting that all in one big string. And of course, we'll parse it the same way we parse that kind of information on our server. Alright, and then we have the request follow, which is just going to take the token. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, so if it's only taking the token, what the hell are we receiving out of this? Well, we're going to have a different message for when we receive the request. So basically that message is going to be filled with a list of account. And that's going to work because account are serializable as well. And all the content inside of account is also serializable. Which means I lied to you. When I said we're only going to be making 3 messages, I lied completely. We're actually going to be making 5 in total. So we're missing 2 right here. We're missing on add follow because we need information about that follow. And we're also missing on request follow. There we go. So on add follow, and I'll get to why we don't have on remove follow in a second. So net on request follow. Maybe we should put an S to this. Now it sounds like we're requesting to be following someone. I won't put an S. I haven't put an S to the other one, but if you think it's confusing, I invite you to have your own naming convention on that. Okay, let me just grab this real quick. We're going to do a on request follow on this this object. We're also going to have to add 2 new operation code, which I'll do in a moment. On add follow. Oops. Okay, bunch of new message. Let's go add our operation code, and those are the response down here. So public const int on add follow, making it our 8th message. Public const int on request follow. I believe we have a total of 10 message. So after that one, after the next one, it's gonna be done. You guys will be completed with the tutorial. Okay, we need a response when we add somebody, because we're just asking to add a username, but we need to have more information on him, so we return the whole account and we get information about his online status as well. So that's kind of useful. If you have additional stuff in there, such as he's connected in X world, or he is his avatar is wearing something, or he's using X player icon, this is also why we do that, because at the base you only have 2 information: username, discriminator, or even email. You might add him with his email, so we need information about those 2 things. That's why we need on add follow. Remove follow, we're removing a friend. We're actually just deleting him from our friend list or our follow list. We don't need more information about him. We're getting rid of everything. We're wiping stuff. Don't need to have a response even. On request follow, well, when we open the hub scene, we won't have any friends, but we might have had follows in the past that we want to carry on over. So the on request follow is just going to send you a list of all the people you followed before. Alright, which leaves me to this thing. Let's actually go and complete those messages. On add follow, what happens when we receive our message? Well, we don't need to have any token in there. That's the response, so we don't need to carry the token over more often than not. So here instead we'll do a public account, and that's going to be the follow, not the friend, the follow. I gotta stop getting that wrong. It's getting really confusing for me as well. So that's the person that we're going to get. We're going to get all the information from account, so his connection ID, username, discriminator, and also status. Cool. Now in terms of the on request follow, this is going to be the same thing, but instead of just one, it's going to be a list, because we might have multiple. As I mentioned before, this is going to work because everything inside of account is serializable. So this will go through the packet without any problem. Okay, let's have a look. Do we have any errors before I go any further? Doesn't seem like it. Now we have all our messages ready. We just need to send them. So on my client.cs right now, we've got 3 new message that we're sending, and 2 that we're listening for. So a total of 5 message. 3 we're sending and 2 that we're listening for. So let's head down over here in my send section, and I'll start writing those down. So send, add, follow. As for the parameter, this is going to be username or email. Okay, that's the send follow. What do we do in it exactly? We create our message, so add follow AF. Oh, okay, that's cool. Well, we do a new AF here, and then AF.token. The token is saved locally in client.cs, so we have it at the top of the class. AF username, discriminator, or email is what we receive in parameter, and then we're just going to send that over to the server. So send server AF. Nice. Let's copy that over. The remove message is basically the same. So send remove follow. We just need to change the class here. like so, and it becomes rf. This is only username, no discriminator in here. I believe in the token it's called username discriminator, yep. And then we send rf. Okay, already we got our two functions to send that. Now third one, it's the send request. We just need to actually send our token. So send request follow. Don't need to add anything more than that in the parameters because the token is inside of here. So request follow rf token equal to token, and here we go, we just send that to the server again. Okay, three functions are created already. That's all we need. We'll be calling all of these three functions over on the hub scene. So let's move over to hub scene, and right in the start we're going to ask for our friends. So let's ask for our friends. How do we go and do that? Client instance send request follow. Not friends, follows. Okay, so we're asking to receive the list of people we follow right there. Now in this function, the onClick add follow, that's where we were supposed to send our follow request, and our parameters right here. So again, let me grab that. We'll do a send add follow. This one takes in the username discriminator in this case. Okay, and then finally here we're going to do send remove follow, which this one just takes in the username and discriminator together at this point. So you know what, I'll just cheat here, do a username plus # plus discriminator. There it is. Now looking at our code, the only thing that can be sent over at this point is the onClick add follow, because this one has never been called anywhere. We haven't created anything dynamically, and also we don't have any follows, so we can't really test this one out. So what we're going to do is we're going to start implementing the follow logic on the server. We're going to try with adding one person. As soon as we manage to add one person, then we'll move on to making this one work, so the request follow, and then finally we'll finish with the remove follow. So we're kind of in a weird order, but I'm glad that we actually wrote all those, so when it's time to implement, it's going to be quite easy for us to just go quite fast with it. By the way, we're all doing that in this episode. So let's jump over to the server, and inside of the server I'll go to the server.cs, and we're going to start writing down our cases. So basically our listener, and here they are. So we have 3 new messages we have to listen for here, and 2 new messages we are going to be sending on this end. So we're going to start with netop. This one is add follow. As always, just write the name of the function, CNN ID in there, channel ID, receiving host ID, and then the type of this message, which is add follow, like this. We have to cast it every time. Okay, duplicate that 2 more times. This is remove follow. And then finally, this is request follow. And now we have to implement those 3 functions down here. So I think I can just click on control dot and have it generate for me. Yep, so I'll just do that. Control dot every time, it will generate my function for me. And I won't have to bother with that anymore. Whoa. Okay, I think I messed up. Let's try again. Okay, there we go. So it created 3 functions for me. Of course, we want to remove the throw not implemented exception, but we can start tackling them. As I mentioned, the first one I'd like to tackle is the add follow, because that's going to be the easiest one to test for today. Now you probably guessed it, this is actually going to be done in mongo.cs, because that's database logic. So I'll be opening mongo.cs, and once we're done with our function over here, we'll go back and we'll call it from there. So right here we're trying to add a follow, so this is in the insert section. we are going to go in the insert section and we'll do the exact same thing we've done for insert account. So we'll say insert follow in this case, and make sure it returns a boolean. We need to know whether or not it worked, because it can fail. Well, if the username doesn't exist, it can fail. If we already have him in our friend list, it can fail. And if it's Ourself, it can also fail. You can't follow yourself. That's just plain weird. We're going to need our token. We're also going to need the email or username / discriminator. Now get ready to write a bunch of new code. It's going to start off with the model we're trying to create. We're trying to create a model follow. I'll just call this one new follow. And this new follow, we'll have to fill in a couple of information in it. Well, actually, just 2 information, and those are the sender and the target. Now, sender is a MongoDB ref, and that's something we haven't seen yet. So let me show you how I go about declaring this MongoDB ref. We have to create a new MongoDB ref object. Then they ask for collection name. Okay, so right now we're looking at a model account. We're not looking at the model follow. Model follow is the whole follow object, but then inside of it we have reference to the account. So we're looking at account right here. And at this point we need to have the ID of their account. So this is where we would do a find account. But right now we don't have any find account by token. We have find account by email, by username discriminator. Right now all we have is token. Obviously the function we're about to write down here, down there, like I'm skipping the part at the top, and this function is going to be used quite often. It's going to be find account just like we've done in the past, but this time we're going to be finding it with the token, not the follow. And the reason that I'm not calling them all, like the first time I've created this code, everything had the same name. I just had different overloads, but this one has conflict with the email. As you can see, they both just take 1 string, so I can't have an overload of that. That's why I started adding a lot of by token or by email and that kind of stuff. So okay, now this find account by token, same exact thing as the 2 others. It's a 1-liner. Actually, this one's the 1-liner, this one's 2-liner, 3-liner. But you know, it's the same thing as find it by email, but instead of looking for the email, of course, you look for the token. And just like this, we have our new function. Right, going back to our sheeps. Find account by ID. Sorry, by token here. And the token is what we receive in parameter. Now remember, the MongoDB ref wants to have your collection name, but then an ID. We're giving him the full object. He wants the underscore ID. And now he's going to be happy. So we have our sender. Cool. Getting our target ain't going to be as easy. We're going to start by getting the reference to our friend. Follow, to our follow. So this part begins by looking at whether or not this string we got is a email or a username. Let's start by, if it's not, say, an email, so is email, well, is not email, then we're going to do something about that. So email or username, else statement, there we go. So right here, if it's username / discriminator, and if it's email, because I'm looking at if the first is not email. So if this is username and if this is email. Now, what happened if it is a username discriminator? Well, we have that information all compact together inside of a single string. So we first have to split it apart. So we'll do the exact same thing we've done before. String data, split. We're splitting on the pound sign. And then we check just to make sure if data at the index 1 exists. So if that data at the index 1 is not null, then we can go ahead and do something about this. In this case, what do we need to do? We have to look for the account, so model underscore account. This is our follow. And then we can find our account by username discriminator, just like this. That's data 0, and that's data 1. And then only if we found something, so only if that person exists, can we actually put it as a reference. So if all follow is not equal to null, then we can go ahead and say new follow dot target, in this case, is going to be equal to a new MongoDB ref, basically the same line as we have here, but instead of looking at find account by token, we actually use follow underscore ID, which is basically the new account. Right. Oh, and else, if it doesn't work, let's make sure we return false. So the person who calls this function will know. Now, that is if it's username. If it's not a username, we just have to copy this small part in here and just put it in there. It's much easier if it's just an email. So let's have a look here. Follow. This is find account by email, and we just send in our email. If that person exists, then we add it to new follow.target, else we return false. But we're not done just yet, we have more to do. But we're not done at this point. We have our two fields set, so sender and target are set. So we can start by saying if new follow.target is not equal to new follow.sender, then we're off a good start, right? Else return false. If we don't make it in there, it's going to be the last time. So we'll just return false, like it didn't work. In here is going to be our ending condition, basically. So in here, does the friendship already exist? We're going to be looking at that, and then only if there is no friendship, we're going to create one. So if there is no friendship, create one and return true. Okay. So let's start by looking, does the friendship already exist? It's a simple query. We have done it a couple of times already. It's the query.and, and then inside here we're going to put our two parameters. I'm going to copy it over because I never get the formatting right, and I hope you guys do, or you can just copy it over from another function we have down there. Here I was looking at friendship in my old code. Now of course it is model follow, and it's no longer a friendship, it's a new follow. So new follow, like that, like that. This is a target, and this is also a target. Okay, so we have our query. Now we just have to look at, if we find somebody, we don't do anything. If we don't find someone, then we create a new one. Let's do that all in an if statement. If follows, which is the collection we have, find one with the query. If this is equal to null, so only if we don't find anything, let's go ahead and create one. At this point, we can use our follow collection, insert, and insert the new follow. And there we go. Okay, so that actually took quite a while just to add a person in the follow section, but we have to do all these checks. I'm starting to have a lot of code for simple application, but those are kinda all mandatory. Right, so we have our insert follow. We can now go back one stage. I think in the server.cs, yes. So this function will return a response no matter what happens. In this case, we're going to create our on-add follow, so OAF. We'll create that right away. And no matter what happens, we're sending that back to the client. So let's send that to the rec host ID, CNN ID, and then our message OAF. Right now it's empty though. We have to fill it with something, and that something will be decided in here. In my first if statement, I'll try to insert the follow right inside the database, and insert follow will return me a boolean. We just need to make sure we give him the right fields. So let's have a look here. It's asking for a token and also username or email. We have that information inside of message, so let's go ahead and unveil that. First up, the token, and second, the username, discriminator, or email. Okay. And that is our if statement. This is cool and all, but we still need to return information on that person. If we add him, we need to fill in the information for the person who just asked, for the client who just asked to add this person as follow. We need to return them information about that person. So that's why we have OAF follow right here. We have to fill in that information. But we still don't know if what we got in terms of information, the username or discriminator is, we don't know what it is yet. Is it username or is it the email? So we're going to go back and do this again. So if utility is email, then we're going to take our message. Our message looks at if this is an email, else this is username. So this is username and this is email. I have to write that every time because else I just get confused. This is email, right? So if it is an email, OAF follow is going to be equal to db find account by email, and we're just going to send him what we've got over here. So message username or email. There is a problem with that, and we'll get back to it in a second. However, first I'd like to do the username since we're right here. Same thing as always. I feel like I should be copying this code over, but here it is. Split. Oops. We split on the pound sign. Then if data index 1 is equal to null, let's just do a return here. Else OAF follow is equal to db find account with username and discriminator data 0 data 1. Okay, now what we're receiving right now from the find account function or find account by function is a model underscore account, but right here to follow we want to strip down that information. We want to strip it down so we don't have the token, we don't have the email, we don't have sensitive information. So we want to make sure we strip that down, and I think that the best way we can go about doing this is just having a function inside of the model account that will do it itself. So I'm opening up model underscore account right here, and I'll just create this here, public account get account, and right there we are going to return a new account object. So return new account object, and we'll fill it in with the information that we can. So I want to send over the username, so username is going to be equal to this.username. I want to be sending in the active connection, why not, because it's right there. What else? We want to be sending, oh wait, it's actually telling me what to send. Discriminator next, okay, this.discriminator, and then status is equal to this.status. Okay, so these are what I want to be sending, and I don't think I need to put this right there. Okay, there we go. So we're going to be creating our new account. Well, we're going to be stripping down like all the information we have over here. We're going to be stripping down a couple of things such as last login token, of course the shop password. We don't want to have that, obviously, and that's what we'll do. Going back on our server.cs, we can now come here at the end and do a get account, and it's going to strip all the information we don't need. Okay, I think we're done with the add follow. That was quite a heavy one. Don't worry, the other ones are not as bad. Maybe the request follow, but this one was definitely the worst. Should we test this out? Yeah, let's actually go and test this out so we don't go any further with more problems. Last thing we want is me struggling at the end of the tutorial to make a small feature work. So I've booted my server. I'm going to boot the client in the right scene. Always going to start from the lobby scene. That's where all the initialization will happen. Okay, and I believe we have the account called 1111. Now we're going to make the account 22222. Submit. Account was created. That's great. Okay, let's try and log in on 1111. We're logged in. We're going to try and add this dude. Now let's see. Didn't seem to have any error. Did it work? We don't know until we press on reload. And it worked off the get-go. We have one follow over here, guys. Let's have a look at this thing. We have account 1 and account 2. So that's the sender and that's the target. Let's have a look at this just so you guys understand what's going on. We have the reference account, and the ID of that reference is 5BCA blah 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 E80. That's my sender. Let's go back one step and we'll see under account if we can find that again. Here it is. That's the person who sent that 5BCA and then E80. That's him. So that's how we find out that person. By the way, we've changed our token to be a little bit more complicated. Now, if two person in your game are logged in at the same time and they have that kind of token, you're having a really, really bad day. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Okay, cool. I'm quite glad it worked in the first try. Alright guys, so we got one message out of 5 out of the way. We're gonna go ahead and work on the response, so on the add follow, so we can get some nice visual feedback right away from in the client. Now let me go in the client real quick. Here's my client, and we're gonna start listening for this new message. So under on data, we are now listening for a new message. So net op on add follow. Again, on add follow will be the name of my function, and I will cast my message to this, the on add follow class. Now we're gonna go down here again, as always. Let's declare that. You know the drill, OAF, and we're gonna start playing around with this. Okay, so as soon as we receive a response from our follow, we have the information about our friend right here. So OAF.target or .follow is an account. And under account, we have username, we have discriminator, we have all of that. However, it's not useful to us in the client. The person who cares though is the hub scene. So what I'll do, I'll just strip that here for a second. We're going to go in the hub scene and we're going to create a response here. Well, a place where we can hook in our response. And it's actually going to be to add a friend to UI. So add follow to UI. Let's just send in the account itself like this. Or what I'll call it follow. And we're good to go. So let me just take this, go back under client. That's all we'll be doing. So hub account, hub scene, sorry, instance. Oh, we don't have an instance over there. Well, it doesn't matter. Let's just let's write it anyway, and then we'll create it afterward. So I stop jumping from one to the other. And here it is. That's what we'll send, the account itself. Right. Going back to hub scene, we're just quickly going to add an instance, just like we've done for the client, just like we've done for the lobby scene. Go at the top, public static hub scene instance. In the start, we'll say it's equal to this. Right. Now this function right here is being called, and it works. So if we go here, F12, it brings us here. We have the information. We just have to put it inside of the friend container or the follow container. Now, what is the friend container, you ask? It is something that we actually included in the UI a couple of episodes back. So let's go to the top and we're going to declare these two things. The first one is actually the prefab. What is it that we're spawning? So that's the friend or follow prefab. Second is a transform this time. Well, we can use a transform, we can use a game object, doesn't really matter. That's the follow container. And you know what? I keep forgetting to actually add those, so I'll go right away and I won't forget about it this time. So inside of the hub scene, I will head over to my hub scene object, and here are the two new fields. Let's drag and drop follow for the follow prefab. And now in terms of the follow container, this is what I'm talking about, the middle part of it. We're going to drag and drop that right here, make sure we save, and I don't think that we have to touch the UI ever again from now on. So let me go back to my hub scene, add follow to UI. Let's have a look at what we can do here. First, I am going to instantiate a new object. That's my follow item, I will call instantiate. What are we instantiating? Instantiating the follow object or follow prefab. That's what I called it. The parent of that, where are we spawning it exactly, is the follow container, and we can leave it at that. We don't need to go any further in this. Right. Next up, quit. Friend item, get component and children. So this will spawn the new object, it will add it to our container, and at this point we have to change all the values inside of it. So we have a couple of values in there. We have the name, which is going to be text mesh pro UGY. Then we have an image. Is it going to be gray? That's if the person is offline. Is it going to be green? That's if the person is online. And then we have buttons that we have to add functions to. So let's go ahead and start doing that. It is quite a couple of lines. So, well, actually it's 4 lines. So follow item, get component in children, I believe. Yeah. So get component in children, text mesh pro UGY. And we're going to do a dot text on this. The dot text is going to be equal to the follow dot username plus the pound sign plus follow dot discriminator. First line done. Next up, we got follow item dot get child Oh, okay, so transform.getChild. And we want to get the first child, which is going to be the status, right? That's going to be the image itself. Then we do a get component type of image. The reason we went on the right transform first is because the other one also has an image. So let's actually do a get component image. We have to include unityengine.ui at the top. Just making sure people see it. Here it is. And then from here, we're going to change the color of it. It could be anything. Like, you don't have to change the color. You could be doing something completely different than I am doing, and I totally respect that. I want to make sure things work, so I'm showing you at least one of the things you could do. So here's the logic behind that ternary operator. If it is not on 0, it will mean you're online, basically. No matter what, if you're not on 0, you're going to be on online. So I'll do color.green if that's the case. Else is going to be color.gray. And I'm from Canada, so I'll put an A here. I think it belongs with an A. Next up, we're going to get the second object. The second object is not about an image. It's not about the TextMesh Pro UGUI. It's actually where the button is, right? So let me just wipe all of that. Now, we're going to do a lambda operation here. It's actually something that is quite confusing, but just have a look at this. We're going to take the onClick event, and we're going to do add listener. At this point, we are now allowed to do whatever we want inside of a function. So as soon as we click on the button, whatever's in there is going to be called. So what I like to do is we're actually going to turn that into a function, delegate, and we will destroy this object. So destroy this follow item, it's called, yes. And like this, if you press on the button, you're going to be destroying the whole friend or follow item completely. But I don't want to stop there because I also have to send this over to the server. He needs to know I've deleted my friend, so he also deletes it in the database. Which is why we're going to duplicate this object, and we're going to call our sweet little function down here. So instead of calling destroy, we're going to be calling onClickRemoveFollow, and let's send in the username and also discriminator. So where do we get that? We get that under follow, username, and then follow.discriminator, just like so. Yeah, it seems like we have everything we need in here. Alright, so at this point, I believe we are done with the add follow as well. So let's go ahead and test this one out. It just gets faster and easier from here, guys. Don't worry about that. We are going to test this out, as we like to do. Now, what I'll do before I go any further is I'll wipe all, not the accounts, I want to wipe all the friendships so we don't run into the, you already have that friend kind of validation we've tried to do. Sorry about that, I'm getting a little bit tired, but we're gonna make it through. So we have two accounts, 1 1 1 1 1 and also 2 2 2 2 2. We're gonna log in the first one and try to add a friend. Let's see, click on that. He appears in his full glory. Here it is. And in fact, he would appear as green if I ever logged on this thing, because we never actually set the status back to 0 once we log out. Something we might want to be doing in the next episode, not in this one. So he's here. We know he's going to be here in the database. Well, we hope he's going to be there. Yep, here it is. And now I want to delete him. Oh, we don't have our delete mechanic. But if I click on this, he goes away, right? And I don't think he's going to go. No, he's not going to go away in database. We haven't really done that yet. We're going to do that in a moment. But everything was good. We got no error anywhere. Alright, so now speaking of deleting this guy from the database, let's actually have a look at what's going on. We send the request to delete him. It's called net remove follow. So let's actually follow up on this. Let's see what goes on here. Remove follow on the server side. Here it is. Now luckily for us, this one doesn't have a response message, so it's really not a big deal. All we have to do is call a function inside the database to remove this. So let's actually assume this one exists, right? It's going to be called remove follow, and it will take in two things, my token, and also the target itself, so username, the discriminator. That's all we'll need in here. Now let's head over to our database and create this function. So we'll see that under delete. public void remove follow, takes in the token, and takes in the username Discriminator. There. What do we do in here? Well, we find it, and once we have it, we just remove. That's all we do. So in here, we gotta find it, and we gotta remove it from the follow collection, just like this. So remove, but we still haven't found it yet, right? So we're gonna have to create a function to fetch it. We have all these find account. We don't have any find friendship yet. Let's go and get one. So model follow find follow by username and Discriminator. There we go. This one will not be as easy as those two guys over here, simply because we'll need reference to both guys first, and we don't need IDs, we actually need reference in this case. Oh, hold on, I've made a mistake here. It's not the username, it's the token, and this is the username and Discriminator. Don't want to mistake that, so yeah. Good. Now follow along as I take you through this journey of things we've already done in the past. We're going to be doing a split again. That split on the pound sign. Look if that data is not null. If it's not null, we proceed. Now, what goes on in here exactly? We have to find the sender, which is a new MongoDB ref. New MongoDB ref. Okay, cool. It's in the account collection. And then for the ID, we can do a find account by token. Send over our token, and then do underscore ID. Like so. And we have found our reference. And now we need to find our target. Do we call it target? We're going to call it follow in this case. Exact same line. However, you're going to be finding him using Discriminator and also the username. So find. This is data at the index 0, and this is data at the index 1 dot underscore ID. Right, so we've got both our reference. At this time, we can now do a find one on the follow collection and then return that product. And as I've mentioned before, I cannot type this. I will just copy it. There we go. Looking for follow. Looking for follow here as well. Oh, actually, this is target. There. I don't know why I put caps to those. That didn't make any sense. Let me remove those. There we go. Okay. Definitely getting a little bit tired. Okay, so definitely once we're done with that, follows find one with the query. And that's what we're going to return. So return this thing. If we don't make it inside of this if, just return null. It didn't work, and we're gonna have condition to test that outside. So, okay. Follow, find follow by username Discriminator. Let's take this, let's put it down there, and let's send in our information in here. Now, just like the update function, this does not take the object itself, it takes in a query. So here's what I'll be doing. I'll just want the object ID. So object ID, let's call it ID of this thing, and then we do underscore ID. Just like so. I'm also going to make sure I include at the top MongoDB basin. I don't know why I didn't have it before, but I guess I have it now. And then we're going to remove it with a query, in which we'll just find this one object. So let's just do like a normal query where we would go and do a model follow. In here we can do a EQ for equal to, and that follow will test it on the ID. So underscore ID with ID. Okay. This is how it will look like for a remove follow. I believe we don't need to do anything else than that. Just to make sure, again, I'll take a small break and I will test this out. It's actually a good occasion for me to take small breaks, is when we test out stuff. Right. Also going to wipe my table right here because we're never receiving the old friends we have in previous sessions. So if I want to test this out again, I have to make sure my friends are gone. Oh, you know what? Let's connect on 2222 so we see the online status of 1111. So here it is. This guy's even online. That's cool. Okay. Refresh. The follow's here. We click on that. He's gone from the client. And he's gone from the database as well. Congratulations! 3 message out of 5 completed. We need 2 more, guys. Stick along. It's going to be worth it. We're almost done. Alright, so the next 2 message are for when you enter the game, when you enter the hub scene. I have to know who are the people you followed before so I can reinstantiate them. Since I'm in the database right now, right here, I'll go ahead and I'll write down those functions. They're quite simple. Now that we have our fine friendship, it's quite something. So we are going to return a list of model account. Actually, scrap that. It's actually a list of account. We're not sending all the information back, only partially. Right, so you want to do a list of account here. And we'll call this find all follow by. So find all the follow by this person, so we know who are the people he follows. And we're going to do that with a token. That's all the information we need for this one. We're going to start by needing a reference to that first person, which we can easily get by creating it, right? So self, and we do a new MongoDB as we have done with the other follows. Now we're going to be looking for something in the account collection, and the value is going to be find account by token, give it a token, then ._id. And just like this, we're going to have our reference to ourself. Now in our next query, we're going to be looking at all the follows that are made by us as a sender. So let's go ahead, create our query. It's going to be equal to query, not a new query, model follow, where everything is equal to the sender equal to self. So everywhere where the sender is myself. Okay, now we just have to run this and populate our account list. So we'll just call that follows with an S. I know it gets confusing. We have a lot of these around. Let's go ahead and do that. So for each var f in follows, that's the collection. You know what? Follow response. Yeah, there we go. And then we do a find here. We don't do a find one. If we did a find one, we only get one. We don't want that. We want to have a collection of those coming back. So we find with query. Now at this point, we're going to have a lot of object down here. Well, depending on how many people the person follows. And inside of F, you'll see that there's a sender and also a target. So what you'll do here is you'll want to click on target and get information on this person. All you have here is the ID, I recall. You don't have much really you can play with. So you have to find the real object with the reference. We have the reference, we have to find the real object now. Which is kind of a problem because we never actually have a find account by ID, right? So, you know what? Just go here at the top, look at it for a second, copy and paste, find account by object ID. And the parameter is an object ID here as well. So just call it ID. It's the same thing as before, but instead of looking at email, you're testing it against ID. Okay. Take this, put it down here, because we have access to that. So, how do we put it down here? We're going to do follow response, which is our list, add. We're going to add an item. That item is going to be an object we find, .id, I believe. As object ID. You have to cast as object ID, else I think we're getting a string. No, we're getting a bson value. You want to get a object ID, so you got to do as object ID. At this point, it's still not over because that returns us a model underscore account. We want to have an account by itself, so we're going to go right in between, do a get account, and this is where the final line comes in. It looks like that. Once we're done, we return the follow response. Okay. This line is a little bit confusing. I invite you to have a good look at it, and you know, we're doing a couple of things in here basically. We're transforming our accounts quite a lot. Right. So find all follow by. We're going to receive a list of account of everybody we follow. Alright, so it's time to actually hook that up right inside of the server.cs. Alright, so that function right here under server.cs is where we have to make our response. So let's go ahead and do on request follow, so ORF as a new object as always, and once we're done we always send that back to the client receiving host ID, connection ID, and the message itself, ORF. And here, since we've coded everything in database, all we really have to do is say ORF.follow, like that. Yeah, it's missing an S, but that's a list of account. I'll just put an S now. Go back here, just put it here. Yep. And that's going to be equal to db find follow, I'll follow by, and have my token sitting right in here. And that's for our fourth message, guys. We're already done with our fourth message. Fifth one is going to be the response. So how is the client going to respond? I'm not going to test this one out because we really can't test it out so much. We're not going to see anything visual as long as we haven't coded this part here in the client. So back on the client, I am on the onData function, and this is where we're gonna have some fun. On request follow, we're gonna go down there to on request follow, and of course send a cast version of our object, just like so. So what do we do in here? Quite simple. It's a two-liner. So for each var follow in orf.follows, we're going to add it to the list. So hub scene instance add follow to UI and then follow. We're done. We're done, guys. That's our fifth message. I told you it was going to be quite fast after we completed the on add. So let's actually make sure everything is in sync. I'm gonna wait until this loads. Going to boot the server, and we're going to be testing this out in a good manner. So let's look. Do we have any follow right now? No. We'll have to do everything from scratch. Let's do it. So under my login, oops, here it is. Now I'm connected. Let's go here, add our friend. He's here. He's online. For some reason, we'll fix that in a moment. Well, in the next episode. And here he is. Okay, now I'm going to disconnect without removing him from my friend list. Connect again and see if he shows up. He should. That's the whole point of our last two messages. I don't know why I kept hitting the dot sign. And here he is. He came back. Now, as you guys can see, still there. If I go and I delete it, reload, he is now gone. So that is quite amazing. Let's add him again. We're playing around. He's back. Let's try to add him twice. Crap, that works. That's bad. But it doesn't actually show up here, which means if we disconnect and we reconnect, he's not going to be there. So at least the bug is only on the client side. We're gonna have a quick look on how to fix that. So let me just open the code. It would be as simple as adding a success byte in here. So we could say if of.success is equal to 1, which means it will work, then we do it. For the unadd follow, you don't have to do that if it doesn't bother you. It just bothers me because I saw it and I have to fix it now. So byte success set get, and in the server side, if it already exists, I'll just set that to 0. And right here on my add follow response, if it worked, let's just say success or oaf.success is going to be equal to 1. Good. I should have fixed it, I think. Again, I'll be testing this out before I bounce. So my friend's already there. Okay, let's do new friend, which is the same person. Click. Doesn't work. Well, it works, but it doesn't work. You get the whole point. Good. So we've completed this. Right. Next episode, last episode, we're going to have to, well, first toggle off the online status of our friend right here once he disconnects, because else we never do it, and then we also never wipe his token, which is something I want to do. And then after that, we're just going to be sending messages on updates that the friend or the follow does. So if the follow goes online, goes offline, we're going to be sending update to the people who follow that person, so they are aware of what's going on. Good. Thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, join Discord, leave like, subscribe if you are quite wild, and I will be seeing you in the next one. Cheers.